maximize your internet connection. You may have heard about a beep right now. That indicates that this session is being recorded. And like I said to you earlier on, the recording will be provided to any interested person after this particular webinar. So these are the key information about us. So we are a study abroad agency. We provide key services which include admissions for undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral, foundation students. So foundation students are those who do not have the relevant requirements for level 4. So they start from level 3. And for those of you who might wonder what is level 3, so level 3 is like a beginner's level. And I'll give an example. Suppose you studied biochemistry in Nigeria, you wanted to study in the business management in the UK, or let me just give another extreme example. Suppose you studied human resource management in Nigeria, and you're going to the UK to study something quite extreme, say something like cyber security or something like that. Some university might not grant you admission straight away. Instead, they would offer you foundational studies. So that means you have to start from level 3 instead of level 4. With level 3, you get to study for 4 years. With level 4, you get to study for 3 years, because the length of study in the UK for university students is 3 years for undergraduates. Okay. So we do provide foundational admissions, undergraduate, postgraduate, doctoral studies. Doctoral studies include postdoctoral studies like MPhil, which is Masters of Philosophy, or PhD as well. And we can also provide services which include accommodation, that is maybe temporary accommodation. Some international students do not have relatives in the UK, or they may have relatives, but they do not have the space. So we can provide the services to cover temporal and long-term accommodation for international students. And when you do arrive here as an international student, some of the things that you would find quite challenging is how to settle in the UK. How do I adjust to the new culture, the new environment? How do I integrate myself, and how do I network and make friends? This is something that we also provide here at with TSAA. And additionally, we provide up-to-date news, tailored content, and live tour for students who really want to know more about the university before they apply. Now, we also have different types of plans, and this plan also are based on different prices. Currently, we have 3 plans. They include the basic, the premium, and the ultimate plan. The payments are also flexible and they're very affordable as well. Our process, we do, carry every client along in 6 steps, or 6 holistic stages, as you can see on the screen, and they include consultation. It is at this point that we get you in to kind of ask you and know about your needs, and also provide suggestion and advice based on what you tell us. Then we put your documents together in the documentation stage. We apply for the admissions. We normally apply to 3 top universities based on your choice of course or courses. And then we also support you with your visa. Please note that we do not apply for visa for anybody at all, but we can direct you to reliable agents and solicitors who would give you 99% guarantee of getting your visa. And then we do have traveling and settling. So for some students as well, they need help with traveling to the UK, knowing what to come along with, what not to come along with, how to present themselves at the border or at the airport. These are some of the things that we provide. And when you come in here, we not just leave you to yourself. We kind of bring you in and kind of give you a guide on how to settle and stay out of trouble and have a very smooth time here in the UK. We keep talking about the UK, and some of you might think about of other countries. Well, for now, we are only operating within the UK. Our long-term goal or should I say our midterm goal will be to also cover other destinations as well. That is to say that our scholarship information and every content you would see on this particular slide will be based on the UK destination. So let's just kindly bear that in mind. Now let's get on to the actual reason why we are here, scholarship. I would like to think that each of you who have taken not just your time, but you've also bought yourself data to be here, you're here because you're interested studying in the UK, and you're also here because you would need help with that. And what is that help called? That help is called scholarship. As simple as that. That help is called scholarship. It's an opportunity for you to study with the support of several agencies, including tuition. They pay your tuition. And some of this scholarship also covers your feeding and travel and other living expenses as well. That is the help that you are here for. That is the help that most Nigerian students really, really want. And that is exactly what we are going to be talking about in this webinar. Based on the last update in 2022, the UK offer various international scholarships for students. And every time you see the word international, if you're not a UK citizen or you're not a resident in the UK, you are considered to be an international student, even if you're from South Africa. Now, let me tell you a very good thing. I'm going to, like I said, this webinar is going to be very insightful. I'm also going to try to correct some misconception about studying in the UK, something that you may have heard in the past and you may have wondered how true that is. Before 2020, the UK were part of European Union. I'm sure you know that. And then around that time, we had exit from EU, which is where we had the Brexit. We're no longer part of the EU. Interesting fact about that disintegration is that ever since the UK left the EU, even if you are from France, you are considered to an extent an international student, because the category is divided into two. It's either you are a home student or you are an international student. If you're a home student, it means that you're a UK citizen, you're British citizen, you're a UK national, or you're a resident in the UK. If you are not a home student, it means that you've come from abroad, even if it's France, Germany, Canada, United States, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and so on and so forth. So let's clear that misconception out. Everyone who is not a home student is definitely an international student. Before, when they say international student, people used to feel a little bit daunted. Oh, why are they calling us international student? Oh, if I'm from France, I'm not considered an international student. Well, ever since Brexit, everyone is now either a home student or an international student. And the UK provides several, and I mean several, many of them, scholarship opportunities for international students. These scholarships are offered based on university, government agencies, and private organizations and foundations. I just want us to be very, very clear about that. There are different kinds of scholarship and there are different types of scholarship. The first thing we want to look into is the kinds of scholarship. Typically, a university will offer the following kinds of scholarship, as you can see on your screen. It includes the 25% scholarship, the 50% scholarship, the 100% full scholarship, and international student scholarship. I will explain that. 25% scholarship is 25% off your tuition, your school fees. So tuition is your fees. They'll take away 25% and you pay 75%. 50% means that you pay 50% and the scholarship will cover 50%. Now, 100% scholarship. Can you mute yourself? Now, 100% scholarship means that the scholarship takes care of 100% of your tuition. You don't pay one penny. Now, I wrote down the full scholarship because there are several scholarships that pays your tuition 100%, but you have to take care of your other expenses. Now, on the other side, on the other hand, we have 100% full scholarship, which includes 100% of your tuition, and they also give you stipends. And this stipend goes towards your travel, your accommodation, and so on and so forth. Then the final kind of scholarship I'd like to cover in this particular, if someone is Yusuf, I'm gonna mute you now. Good, thank you. Now the last kind of scholarship is the international student scholarship. Now there are several levels to this. The first level is, so some university will say if you are international student from West Africa, you have automatic £2,000 off your tuition. Some university will say if you have a first class, you have £5,000 off your tuition. If you have a second class upper, you have £2,000 off your tuition. Please bear in mind that typically most universities don't allow you to merge this scholarship. So for instance, if you're a Nigerian and you have first class, they would say £2,000 for being from a Nigerian from West Africa and £5,000 from having a first class. But many people will be like, okay, that's 7,000 off. No, no, no. Most universities don't allow you to merge them. They will ask you to choose the greater scholarship, which in this case would be your £5,000 scholarship. At this point, can I just get a confirmation from 1 or 2% that you can still hear me? Thank you very much. Thank you. So that is the levels to this international scholarship. So they can vary from universities to universities, and the prices or the discounts or the scholarship can also vary. But very typical, they will normally say 5,000 for first class students and 2,000 for second class upper students. Unfortunately, those who do not fall into these two levels would then have to seek for other types of scholarship, as we will talk about in the next slide. Now, types of scholarship. Remember I said to you there's a difference between kinds and types. Now, the types is, well, the levels that you can get in terms of discount to your tuition. The type is based on the organization or the entity, whether private or government, that provide this scholarship. The first is Chevening Scholarship. What I have tried to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I have tried to capture organizations that provide scholarship to Nigerian students or international students. So all of this scholarship I'm going to be sharing with you now, feel free to look into them. I would also provide links to their main website so you can kind of look into them and see if you meet the requirement. The first is Chevening Scholarship. This scholarship is funded by the UK government, so it is a very credible and renowned scholarship, and it's provided for postgraduate students. So there is a clause there. So if you're undergraduate, this might not cover you. And this scholarship will take care of your tuition, your living allowance, and your other expenses, just as I told you earlier on. So this is something like 100% full scholarship for master students. The current tuition for master students will fall between £14,000 and above. Some universities like Loughborough University, they charge up to £24,000 per year. So if you got an admission into Loughborough University and you meet the Chevening scholarship requirement, they're going to pay £24,000 for you, and they will give you stipends. From the previous experience, talking about those that I know who have won the scholarship, I think around 2020, 2021, I know they would give up to £15,000 a year, free money, just to take care of your living allowance and other expenses. And it can go higher than that. The next type is the Commonwealth Scholarship. Of course, again, it's funded by the UK government, and Nigerian students are eligible because we are Commonwealth. We're part of the Commonwealth country, isn't it? But this is again for masters and PhD students. The good thing about this scholarship is it doesn't really discriminate on the course or the program. It covers a lot, from science to social sciences, from pure science to social science to art to commercial, and so on and so forth as well. Now, this Commonwealth Scholarship would normally provide 50% off your tuition, and in very rare but possible cases, they provide full scholarship. The next one is the Gates Cambridge Scholarship, funded by Bill Gates and Melinda Gates. You already know who they are. I love this scholarship because personally in 2016, I applied for this scholarship and I have a good experience in this, for this particular type of scholarship. This scholarship is for, again, postgraduate students and those who want to study in the university at the University of Cambridge. West African, international, and Nigerian students are automatically eligible to apply. But like I said, I do have an experience of this. I'm going to share 2 tips for you. This scholarship is a very high sought after. I'm looking for the right words. I think Nigerians would say hot cake scholarship. And because of the level of competition, you have to apply up to 2 years before. So for instance, this is 2024. Those who are interested in studying 2024 cannot apply. The admission closed, the application portal would have closed last year. So you have to apply well in advance for this scholarship, but it does work. And come on, it's University of Cambridge. And then we have the Rhodes Scholarship. This is again by the University of Oxford. Many of you would think that, when we say University of Cambridge and University of Oxford, you would think that is one entity, but they have different, shall I say, sub-universities or colleges in this, in this university, if that makes any sense. So for this one, it's for international students. So you are eligible if you're Nigerian from West Africa, and you should have outstanding prior academic history. And the word is outstanding. One of the challenge of this scholarship is they go for those with high level of IQ, like they go for those who have impacted the society. You don't just apply for this scholarship with your academic experience or academic records. You also apply for this scholarship with your contribution to your community. So it's a very personal statement based scholarship, if that makes any sense. And they provide full scholarship, part scholarship, and also they cover your tuition and living expenses as well. And then we have another scholarship by University of Oxford. This is academic excellence, and it's also to graduates from all around the world. It's 100% full scholarship, which means they pay your tuition 100% and they give you living expenses. Now, they give you living expenses allowance. I want you to focus on the last line. It says generous. So you're not talking about 10,000 or 15,000. They can give you more than that to cater for yourself during your studies. Now, we have the UK University Scholarships. So this will be based on academic merit. If you have first class, they'll give you £5,000 off. If you have 2.1, they'll give you £2,000 off. Some UK also offer university scholarship based on financial need. They used to have a category for students who they call it hardship scholarship. So these are for international students who can prove that things are really difficult for their household and they are brainy, they are smart, but they cannot just help themselves. So they also have that hardship scholarship. And they have things like 50%, 25%, and so on and so forth. They also have another scholarship called I'm trying to get the word for it. It's part of the Sudan Union government. Is ambassador. Yeah, that's the word. If you, for instance, with the University of West London, I know that they provide £5,000 off your tuition if you qualify to be an ambassador of the university. So that's basically that. The last set of scholarship I would like to talk to you about that you are very eligible for is the British Council Scholarship. I'm sure by the word British Council, this is not the first time you've heard about that. They are behind the IELTS. For those of you who might not know, that is an English speaking competency test, a key requirement for studying in the UK. So they provide scholarship for students from selected countries. Nigeria is part of that. So feel free to look into that. Up to 50% of your tuition will be paid. And the last but not the least that I would like to talk about is the Erasmus Plus program. This is for those who are from the non-EU countries, which include Nigeria, and is for master's and degree scholarship for joint masters. Right, let me just take a breather. I hope I haven't been too fast, but I don't want to keep you here for too long either. I have just given you a breakdown of 8 different types of scholarship. And I've also given you a breakdown of 4 kinds of scholarship. I do hope that by now you have taken down notes and questions that you would like to ask me based on this information. But there is one thing you must also bear in mind. These are not all the scholarship. They're just a few examples, and the key word is few examples, because there are many more scholarship available depending on your field of studies, your nationality, your household income, your contribution to the society, and so on and so forth. We cannot provide all of this scholarship here for you because it's going to take too much of your time, too much of your data. And what are we going to discuss next time in the next webinar? The good thing is, with TSAA, we can provide all of these things by our content-based blog platform, where you can get all of the information you need, current information, up-to-date information. So you need not to worry about that. We can also show you how to search for the scholarship, perhaps during our next webinar. I'm sure Yakub and his team are taking down notes of possible topics that they would like to cover in the next few webinars. So you know now that there is help for you if you really want to get help. There are different kinds of help for Nigerian students who are keen and optimistic to develop their lives, particularly to also develop their academic life. And I'll be talking to you in a later slide how to build your scholarship portfolio, how to increase your chances. I'm not going to be talking about it in depth for the benefit of time, but in the next session of our webinar, I'll be covering on this in depth. Now here, we can help you. We can provide this information for you. We can provide these up-to-date, recent, tailored, centered content. We can show you how to search for scholarship. Many students find that to be very daunting. They don't know how to start. They don't know the words to use. And these are all of the ways that we can help you. Typically, for every of our clients, we have 6 holistic stages where we provide this help. Consultation. This is where we bring you in to ask you about your needs, to know your client needs analysis, to know exactly what is it you're looking for, and what is pertinent, and what is also possible for you. Then we take you to the next stage, which will be the documentation stage. At this stage, we open a portfolio for you, and we'll begin to build your portfolio, including your personal statement or cover letter, CV, academic records, transcripts. We'll tell you everything that you need before you can even kickstart the admission process. Once you have finished, we then take you on to the admission stage. This is where we apply to 3 different universities based on 3 top choice of the course that you wish to study in the UK. And of course, we guide you on the visa. Note, we don't apply for visa. Then we not just leave you there. We also tell you the things to come along with. We prepare you for your travel. It's very important for you to know that, and I'll say this very lightly, getting a UK visa does not necessitate that you're in the UK. There is still one more hurdle. There's still one more, for the lack of better words, there is still one more obstacle you have to overcome. And that is the people you meet at the airport, at the border agency. These are very well-trained experts in the field of identifying fraudulent acts and potential fraudulent acts. They will ask you questions on the spot that will help them to determine if you're really indeed coming to the UK to study. If you do not convince them, they reserve the right to send you back to Nigeria with the next available flight. They do it every time. And there are certain other ways that they also conduct this particular extreme analysis and scrutiny. They go through what you have come along with, what's in your luggage, what is perhaps to an extent on your devices, and so on and so forth. So we kind of prepare you around this to tell you, if you really want to get through the border, this is what you gotta do. Suppose you also need help at the airport, someone to come and pick you and take you to your accommodation. That is something we can do. We can also provide you, even if you don't want us to come there physically, we can provide you with different means of travel opportunities from the airport to your place of residence or your accommodation. When you then come into the UK, we not just leave you there. We take you through a 1-week induction to tell you about the A to Z of studying and settling in the UK. We don't want you to get into trouble. It's a new environment. There is the tendency to develop cultural shock. You feel isolated to an extent. There's a tendency to feel lonely. International students in the past have also developed anxiety. They've missed their place and sense of belonging. They face a new level of, for the lack of better word, of challenges, hardship. Some of them don't even have money to feed, money to travel. They mix with the wrong crowd. They are at the wrong place at the wrong time, or vice versa. These are all of the things that we put together to tell you, young man, young woman, if you really want to survive in the UK, do this. I'll give you a very typical example of one of the very last set of clients we had. We had one young man who was traveling to Scotland from Nigeria. Of course, you know how he must have traveled was with limited funds. But what we had to do was we traveled all the way to Scotland. Well, I personally did. I found him an accommodation before he arrived to the UK anyways. Paid for the accommodation. Of course, he sends the money. And I paid for the accommodation. I made sure that the accommodation is suitable for him and his studies. Then I went to Scotland. For 3 nights. I helped to settle him in. I took him to shopping because you're only renting an empty room, an empty space. You're not renting the entire thing. So we did basic shopping. I took him round and showed him how to travel on the bus, how to top up his travel cards, how to speak to people. And we had a few his campus, showing his campus, all the things. And this young man, he has saved a lot of money just by that information that we gave him. And within the first 6 months, he traveled to France, something that amazes me to today, because not many international students do have that luxury. But I also told him how to integrate himself in the church, and the church took him to France. And today, his life is much, much better than others. At least this is what he told me. He never struggled to feed. He was able to pay his tuition in installment, of course. He had a job. In fact, at the time, he had 2 jobs. My point exactly is this. There are certain people who have come into the UK and they have settled in the first 1 month. In the case of this young man, Stanley, of course, I'm proud to say his name because I'm sure he's happy to, provide his testimony on behalf of TSAA. He got settled within the first 1 month. But I've had people who come into the UK and after 8 months, they don't have a job. I recently have a case right now of someone who is here with his family, of course, the wife on student visa, for 8 months and no job. And it's a struggle. They don't even know how to survive the winter. Thank God the winter is nearly over. And I've also had another student who came in here and felt like, oh, I have friends. I have my friends here, I have my friends there. And after 1 year, she had a visa reduced by the government for some reason that she could have avoided. Her visa was reduced by a whole full year, and she was given a time to leave the UK. And then she's come back to ask us questions, to ask me questions. And I tell her, if only you had consulted with me, if only you had spoken to me prior to this moment, you would not have had this issue. The moral of the story is this. If you really want to make it in the UK, you cannot just come without a strong backing. And TSAA provides that opportunity for you to be reinforced and supported throughout. We will provide you guidance regarding suitable study destination. We'll tell you, don't go to London, go to Birmingham. Don't go to Liverpool, go to Scotland. And we'll give you reasons for that. We'll tell you, for this course, this university is the best. Because when you go online, there are a lot of information there. If you go through the Guardian University Guide, it shows you the top universities in the UK. But again, the misunderstanding to this is the fact that a university is top overall does not mean that they are top in every single course. There are some universities who rate 10 out of 122 because there are 122 universities in the UK. So there are some universities who rate 10 or 12 or 5th. But when you go into the course in particular, they do not rate really well for specific courses. So you don't go by just the university rating. You need to really inquire about how well the university performs in your course, so that when you graduate, you are not only just coming out with a university degree, but you're coming out with a very strong course knowledge, skills, and expertise. We also provide you assistance with the filling of the form, the admission, gathering the information and the document, like I said to you. And we recommend a very reliable travel agency for your visa. They'll provide the visa services to you at a fraction of the commission rate, with up to 99% success rate for your visa. Some clients will say, oh no, just get us the admission, we'll do the visa ourselves. We are very happy to do that. But we just want you to know that if the need arises, we can also step in there. And before you leave, we guide you. We prepare you for your journey abroad. You see familiar faces. You get the assistance you need. We tell you the airport to travel by, the time, what to say at the airport, temporary accommodation, shared accommodation. We help you to start your networking. I took Stanley to my relatives in Scotland, at least 2 of them. Well, I'd done that to create that relationship between these people, because I told Stanley that doesn't matter how difficult it is for you in the UK, but food should never be your problem. You go to this person, they will give you food. And that's exactly what my relative said to him when I took him there. So this is exactly some of the things we do. Now, how do you build your scholarship opportunities? How do you really get started with this? By now, I may have said 1 or 2 things that have ignited a fire, or that ignited a fire inside of you, and you feel like, oh my God, it's possible, it's achievable. But how do I start? Well, you have to have a personal statement, because you are seeking for a free support, because you're seeking for a free tuition. You need to face competition, and you need to beat that competition. A personal statement should not be passive. It should not be just something very casual. It should be something that represents you. that reflects your competence, your capacity. The universities and the people who sit at the panel, the review panel board, they do not see you face to face. What they see is your personal statement. So your personal statement should really reflect your personality, your capacity, your competency, your zeal, your optimism. It's an opportunity for you to sell yourself. And it has to be honest. It has to be active and not passive. And yes, we can help you with this. The next way for you to build your portfolio for scholarship is CV, because you are telling the university, I don't have £14,000 to pay for my tuition. I don't have £18,000 to pay for my tuition. I need you to give me £15,000 for free. The question they will ask you is, what have you been doing with your time? What have you been doing with your free time, your talent, your skill? And the best way to tell them is through your CV. This is an opportunity for you to show them your community commitment, your volunteering opportunities, your past experiences, the jobs you have done, to say, I'm actually working, but I don't get paid a lot and I can't afford the tuition. Here is an evidence to that. I actually have a job, I have skills, I do multiple things, but I can't still afford this. And I've been working for the last 5 years, 3 years. Or you can say, I'm a graduate with 2.1, 2.2. I really am very keen to finding a job, but I haven't been able to secure one job. So while I am waiting for that job opportunity, I am doing some volunteering services. The CV is a way to tell them that you're not lazy. The personal statement is a way to tell them that you are willing, that you are the right choice candidate for that money. Come on, guys. The economy of Nigeria is very glaring. Even the blind can see it. Even, for lack of better word, those who are not economically sound, they can understand the situation of Nigerians' economy. So we know that £1,000 is about, maybe 1.7 million or whatever it is. So if you're asking the university to pay £15,000 for free, you're asking them to give you up to £24,000 for 24 million naira for free. My question to you now is, if you have 24 million times 10, and you want to give 10 people 24 million each out of a country with population of 280 million, you are going to make sure you're giving it to the right people, correct? So this is what the university is seeking for, to know that they are giving 24 million naira to the right people. And that is why your personal statement and your CV must be very, very convincing, because you are competing against millions of other students, brainy students and gifted students. I'm emphasizing on this particular slide for a couple of reasons. First, because I'm a realist. I don't want to bring you in here and tell you, oh guys, yes, there are scholarship, apply and you will get it. Of course not. I tried to get scholarship myself. At some point, I've been in the UK for 14 years. But at some point, I tried to get scholarship myself. I applied to many scholarships, including the Gates Scholarship. So I know exactly what I'm saying. And when I was also trying to study for my master's and my PhD, I also applied for scholarship and I got the scholarship. But I know the competition there. So I know exactly what it feels like, what it means to really get help. The third thing that you need to build your portfolio is your academic history. Some of you might have questions such as, oh, you've talked about first class, you've talked about second class upper. How about third class? How about second class lower, which is 2.2? Here is my point. The UK system does not discriminate. Forgive me for saying this. It's a very different system from the Nigerian system. There is nothing like shortcut. I know someone, excuse me, who knows someone. So they're not going to discriminate against your academic history. But this is something that a lot of Nigerians fail to understand. They fabricate stories. Oh, because I have a 2.2, let me lie. Let me go and buy a resort. Let me change my third class to 2.1. Them no go know who go do an Oluwole level. Now they would know, because most of the people who work in these institutions are Nigerians, and they would know. I'm not the only one who knows about Oluwole. You're not the only one who knows about Oluwole. There is someone in there who works in the department who knows and who would tell them this is a possibility. I mean, I'm sure you heard the story of the Nigerian young man who is on the student visa here in the UK, who went to say a lot of things about Nigerians, who said Nigerians were coming here in disguise, but they were coming here for ulterior motive. I'm sure you saw that video. There are 20,000 of those kind of people who work in different departments and who let them know this is what we can do in Nigeria. So instead of you to fabricate your academic records, tell them the truth. Tell them that I have third class. However, ever since I left, this is what I have done to upskill my skill. I have enrolled in a technical school. I have also enrolled in self-development courses. Show them the diplomas you have, the certificates you have. These certificates and this diploma will then show them that you really are going for a second chance, that the system failed you, but not the other way around. Because in fact, and I say this with all due respect, the students' performance is very reflective of the quality in the school. If the school quality is good, students should not be failing. But if the quality of the university, of the institution is failing, the students will fail. So if my students, God forbid, have third class, have passed, my dean will come into question. And I say this because I'm a lecturer as well. They will question me. If 40% of my students fail to progress, they call me into a meeting to ask me, why 40% of your students fail to progress? Explain yourself. So I have to explain why those students failed. So if you have a third class, if you have a 2.2, do not fabricate your record. Do not manipulate it. You should show them other things you have done to improve and develop on yourself. Because in actual fact, the system failed you. But some students come out of the university in Nigeria with a third class, with a 2.2, and they don't even give themselves another stride to try again. They become so passive, so lazy, waiting for scholarship. But if they ask you, what do you have? All you have is your academic record of a third class. You haven't gone for any technical school. You haven't upskilled your skill. You haven't gone through any self-developmental course. You haven't even volunteered. You have done absolutely nada. You haven't even joined the free courses online. You just do absolutely nothing. How would they choose you? How would they give you 24 million naira for free for doing nothing to improve on yourself? Clearly, you're telling them that if you come to the UK, you will do exact same thing. You will take your academics very passively, and if you fail, you're just going to relax. And last but not the least is optimism. You actually should notice that I didn't mention money in any of these points. Why? Because if you're going for scholarship, you're actually seeking for help. If you're going for full scholarship, you don't need your money, correct? Because they also process your visa for you in some scholarship anyways. But even if you're going for 50% scholarship, you need the optimism to get remaining 50%. You need to really be optimistic. So that's why optimism is a fourth point, but it really encapsulates everything else, including your zeal, your honesty, your prayer life, because you really have to pray for God to give you help for the rest of the money for your 50%. If you have gone for 50% scholarship, you really need God in many, many ways. And I'm emphasizing on that because I'm also religious. I'm not here to sell to you what I haven't tried or tested. So optimism covers a lot of things. You cannot apply for your visa and not have some of the qualities that shows you're optimistic. Optimism also really includes keeping your mouth shut, knowing when to speak, knowing what to say to people, knowing what to post on your social media, because some universities will do their due diligence and it will touch upon your social media account. Optimism also covers honesty, integrity, transparency. And these are some of the things that you really need to build your portfolio. Coming to an end, for the benefit of time, I do hope to have you again in the next webinar and talk about most of these things in depth, and also show you hands-on on how to do some of these things, which includes how to use keywords to search for scholarship. Thanks to AI, it even makes my life easy. But you should understand that you must have a reason for studying abroad. Many people is, I just want to jackpot because I just Nigeria is not good. I'm not here to scare you. I said to you that I'm a realist and that's my philosophy. If you don't have a cogent reason for coming to the UK, such students will suffer. Oh, a lot of students are crying in the UK. A lot of them, because the way the UK environment is, it's very difficult to know who has just finished crying or not. If you take a picture outside during the day, the weather looks nice and it looks favorable. It looks cosmetic. It makes it look beautiful. But maybe that person really cannot take a picture of their house because they don't have any house. They don't have any home. They squat with friends. They squat different places. I know people who have been in the UK for 3 years and all they have is a school bag because they keep hopping from one place to the other. So you really need to have a main reason for coming to the UK. That is your drive. I can't tell you what the reasons are, but that is your drive. If you're wanting to come to the UK for money, please reconsider. As a student, you will not get it. Except you want to do illegal stuff. Who wants to give you the money? I've been here for 14 years. I'm still looking for the money. People have been here for longer the time they're still looking for the money. And all of a sudden, you want to come into the UK in 2024 and you want the quick cash? Ask those people how they make the money. Go to the internet and search. If you come to the UK as a student, they will give you 20 hours visa, even if you're on scholarship. If you're on full scholarship, you can't even work because if they find out you're working, they'll withdraw your scholarship. That's why they're giving you stipends. But if you're on 50% scholarship, 25% scholarship, you can work. But it doesn't matter whether you're on scholarship or not, they give you 20 hours work permit. Well, some of you here have your calculator and you can use your mobile devices to punch these figures. The minimum wage you will earn every hour is £10.84 because you're an adult. So if you come into the UK and every hour you work, they will pay you £10.84. This amount change every April. So if you do £10.84 times 80 hours, because if you do 20 hours every week, you do 80 hours every month, typically. If you punch your calculator, what you earn is £867. Don't worry, you're not going to pay tax on this money because it's not up to the benchmark. However, if you are studying in the UK, to rent an accommodation that can only fit you and yourself, it's about £850. If you want to rent in a maybe multi-flat building, 7 people using one toilet, one bathroom and everything, £650. it's gonna take you grace, mercy, and favor to have a rent, an accommodation with a rent of £500 in London. So if you're going for £650 and you take that off your monthly salary, you have £217 left. Your travel every month will take you about £240. How about your food? How about your internet? How about your well-being? How about your, you know, your other things that you have to do? And what if you have balance to pay, tuition, installment? How do you pay that? So what do you think is the reason why people fail students? Because when they left Nigeria, they just want to japa. UK is based on facts and figures. And you can find all these facts and figures on the internet. It's a different system from Nigeria. Just make sure you go through the right source, the right link. The second thing you need to know is, or question you might have, is do we provide flexible payment plans? Our payment plans are not even that expensive. One of the reasons why we have even placed pricing on them is so that we can cater for our operations and other things, human resource, but it's very, very affordable. And how long is it going to take to complete the process? Well, it depends on you. If you have the money, you come to the UK in April. There's an admission in April. Universities have the very typical admission is July. You come in July, you start in September. That's the big admission. But some universities have admissions in January, in February, in April, in May. It's how quick, and if you have the money, you can come into the UK any time of the year. If you want to speed up the process, yes. If you have 20 million, I'm sure you're going to be in the UK in April, which is like a couple of months. And do we provide jobs? No, we don't. We don't provide jobs. We just tell you, these are the links, these are the companies, these are the businesses, the organizations that employ students, apply to them. I used to have a girl from Nigeria who came into the UK and she wanted to have desk job, office job. I keep telling this girl, go for this, go for that, go for sales assistant. No, I can't do that. They said I would go for cleaning. No, I can't do that. I want desk job, I want office job. Well, the result is that she got frustrated, couldn't pay her bills, and then end up on the wrong side of the track. And these are some of the things will guide you, say to you, we know you want a bank job, we know you want a desk job. Start here. Secure this one while you're looking into the others. Once you have the other, you then give notice to the current one, and then you switch. But you can't just fold your arms and say, I'm waiting for bank job. How much the bank even pay you? A cleaner earns more than some people working in offices and in behind the desk. The system is a very transparent system. And we aim to provide all of this information to everyone through TSAA. And thank you so much for your time and for joining this webinar. I do hope that I've achieved the aim, which is to set up a foundational, basic, beginner's knowledge, introduction to studying abroad. And in the future webinars, based on your feedback and your responses, we can dive deeper into some of these areas and also have some practical demonstration to some of these things. Once again, thank you so much for joining, and please feel free to ask me whatever questions you have. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So do we have any question? You can, thank you, Samir. So you can unmute yourself and ask your questions, or you can use the chat box function to ask your question. Emmanuel, your video is on. That's okay, but just to let you know for your data sake. Yeah, any question? Go ahead.
You're welcome.
Yes? Someone wants to ask a question?
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel.
Hi.
Yeah, my question borders on for those that will be going for that will be seeking scholarship for master's program.
Yes.
Now, is it that you people can help someone and get
Can you
the
change the van?
scholarship, or you just manage it for someone after someone might have gotten it?
Hold on, hold on. Yeah, after that, you have to mute yourself when someone is talking so
Yeah.
we can hear everyone. Emmanuel, hold on. Let me mute him.
Oh, sorry.
Oh dear. Afusat Yakub, please mute yourself. I can't seem to mute you. Hold on. Um, all right. Sorry, Emmanuel. He's on mute now.
Yes.
So ask your
Yeah.
question again.
Like I said, your program or your organization, is it that you manage someone after the person must have gotten a scholarship, or you give the person an avenue to get the scholarship and manage the person at the same time?
Oh, a good question. So for the scholarship opportunities, uh, we can manage you after you secure the scholarship. So once you secure your scholarship, for instance, once you secure a scholarship, for instance, you have basically gone through the first, second stages. So all we have to do is just guide you on um, coming into the UK and settling within the UK, because the university that offers you the scholarship will provide you with all the documentation you need for your visa. Students who normally have scholarship always have a smooth operation in terms of visa, because the university provide them very strong validating documents to apply for visas. So we don't really have too much work there. The only work we do think we have, or services we can offer, is to provide those traveling opportunities, traveling updates, and when you come in here, to also help you to settle in, if that makes any sense, Emmanuel.
Yeah, you were saying something about either full scholarship or something like your school full scholarship. You can work in the UK.
Okay, so we, as TSAA, we don't provide scholarship to students. We only show you the links, and we post links and details and content and news on latest scholarships. But we cannot apply for the scholarship for students at all. It would even bounce back, and the university would reject that immediately. So what we do is we bring up a list, we conduct research, and we compile a list of scholarships, and we post them on our website for students who are interested to apply. So that is basically the job of the applicant, which in this case would be anyone who is interested. When it comes to working with your scholarship, we have no jurisdiction there. So the university will tell you what you can or cannot do based on the scholarship you have gained. So the university will tell you, we are giving you 100% scholarship and we are paying you £20,000 free money every year. You cannot work. So university will tell you, we are giving you 50% scholarship and you will have to take responsibility for your expenses. So they will always give you the terms and conditions behind each scholarship that you applied for. Does that make sense, Emmanuel?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
That's
we
all.
can Yeah, what we can do is we can interpret them to your understanding. Sometimes students kind of find it confusing to understand what they mean by I cannot work, or what they mean by I can work this, I can work that. So we can always bring you in and explain those things to you to understand better. But you solely have to be responsible for your application. We just provide you the information.
Yeah, sorry, my last question, please. You were
Yes.
saying something that for someone that maybe you study a particular course in Nigeria now, I want to apply for a course like cyber security or something. You might not get it. Abi, what were you saying earlier?
Oh, no, no, no. I said you can get it. I said that the UK university does not discriminate at all. So it doesn't matter what you have studied in Nigeria. If you can prove the reason for wanting to study the new course, they will give you the admission. What they might do instead is they might say to you, for instance, Emmanuel, you have studied economics in Nigeria. You want to study cybersecurity in the UK. You do not have the modules required to go for level 4. So we have to start you at level 3. Level 3 is the foundation.
And it lasts for how many years?
The typical UK degree is 3 years. So they have level 4, which is year 1. They have level 5, which is year 2. And they have level 6, which is year 3 and final year. Now, if you go for foundational level, that would then be 4 years, because you would then have to start from level 3, foundation, level 4, year 1, level 5, year 2, and level 6, year 3. If you're going for masters, they do not have anything called foundation masters. So your masters can be either 1 year, 12 months, it can be 18 months, which is 1 year and 6 months, or it can be 2 years. And you also have the opportunity to get what we call internship with your masters. Now,
Okay.
Emmanuel, if you're going for your masters, so for instance, you have done economics in your undergraduate and you want to do cybersecurity for your undergraduate in the UK. So you're moving from undergraduate to undergraduate. They might offer you foundation to start from the scratch. However, if you have a BSc in Nigeria for economics and you're going for a master's in the UK for cybersecurity, it might be tough, but some university might offer you what we call extended masters. Extended masters is synonymous to foundation. So you study 1 year pre-masters just to gain the knowledge, and then you move on to your masters proper. So instead of 1 year, you might end up doing 2 years.
Okay. Okay, good to know. That's what I want to know. And your website, how do we access your website?
Oh yeah, it's TSAALTD.com. It's just under some maintenance. So after that, we're going to be posting it on our. I'm going to be sharing something now to us because that's a very good question. So bear with me. I'm going to stop sharing my slide and I'm going to be sharing something to our something with everyone else, one of us. So bear with me one moment. Right. So what I'm sharing with you, which is coming up on your screen in just a moment. Okay. Bear with me one moment. Yes. So I'm sharing with each and every one of us our primary community. So sorry guys. Just bear with me. My computer is heavily loaded. So yeah, so I'm sharing with you our private community. It's called Aspire Student Hub. It has 12.5K members. We provide every information here. In fact, we always say whatever information you find in here is verifiable because we do scrutinize every information. Now, particularly for the TSAA, we have also created a private platform for that. And through this platform, Aspire Student Hub, you can get into that. I'm just opening it up for you as well. All you have to do is just to join it. Once you join it, we'll update you on everything you need to know, including when our website maintenance is completed. So TSA is Study Abroad Agency Premier, and it has a private Facebook group. So which means it's only based on invites. So if you find this group, click on join. We will scrutinize your invitation to join. We would accept you, and you will have up to date information about everything you need, including our website. Does that make sense, Emmanuel? Okay, Emmanuel, does that make sense? That's okay. I understand network is fluctuating from your end. That's absolutely okay. Do we have any other question?
No, no, I don't.
Thank you
Yes,
so
I do have a
much.
question, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good evening. Please ask.
Okay, my name is Aisha. So my question is relating to something I found out, more like I heard recently, that as an undergraduate, like as a graduate of an undergraduate study in Nigeria, that you can apply for a PhD study directly instead of the normal route of doing your master's first and then going for the PhD. So but when I checked some universities online, it wasn't for all. So I'd like you to shed more light on that and explain, and also about the dual study too. I've heard of that program too, that you can study two things at the same time, sometimes from the same universities and sometimes from
Yeah.
different university, but it has to be within the same country, that kind of setting. So I'd like you to explain that to me, ma.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Let me take the first one. Okay, so if I would put it this way, and I'm gonna say this off the record, it is 90% impossible for you to do your PhD with your undergraduate BSc. And I say 90 because there is a 10% possibility that some universities would accept that kind of application. And I'll give you the instances where that might happen. There are there are about 122 to 124 universities in England. Some of these universities are research-based institutions, which means they are mainly known for their research competence and capacity. If a student in Nigeria have a very good undergraduate, not just with their first class, suppose over the period of their undergraduate, they have conducted extensive research, they have published papers, they are also part of professional bodies, then such students can get that kind of offer. But if it's a typical study BSc in Nigeria for 4 years and go for your PhD, then the chances are more of the no than the yes. But again, if I have to reiterate, if such an undergraduate student have conducted extensive body of research, published papers, and papers in top journals like IEEE, Science Direct, I can see more chances of getting a PhD. Now, they might not give that student a PhD, so this is how a PhD works. For international students, you normally have 5 years visa for your PhD for full time. They don't do part time for international students, unfortunately. Now, within these 5 years, they expect you to finish a PhD under 5 years, say 4 years plus, or in some cases 5 years, depending on the speed of that particular program. The student is not an automatic, or it's not automatically a PhD student until after the first 18 months. So the student coming to this country, the student write a proposal, and that proposal is taken to the OTSEC committee to review that proposal. The student is applying to be a doctoral researcher with the university. It's like applying for a job. If the university accept that proposal, they give the student the visa after other checks has been undertaken, including um, interviews and other kind of checks. I'm saying this because I have the license to supervise PhD students. So if the student get the visa, they come into the country, and within the first 12 months, they build on that initial proposal to now register. So the first proposal is, I am applying to become a doctoral researcher with your university. And then they say, well done, we like your application, come on board. Then within the first 12 months, you develop on that research, providing at least first 3 chapters, first 2 complete chapters, and some of your methodology to say, I want to register now as a postdoctoral student. Then they review your proposal, that's your developed proposal. If they like it, they say to you, Aisha, well done. Now you are a registered postdoctoral or doctoral or PhD student. However, you haven't crossed the hurdle. Within the first 18 months, you then have to now provide the first complete 3 chapters and some of your chapter 4, depending on the number of chapter you have, to now progress from MPhil to PhD. So MPhil is what we call Masters of Philosophy. PhD is what we call, Doctor of Philosophy. If a student after the first 18 months have completed the first 4 or 3 chapters, they go through what we call a mini viva, a minor viva. If they do well in that mini viva or minor viva, then they are automatically progressed to PhD. That is when you can beat your hand in your chest and say, come what may, Aisha, I will definitely get a PhD. But in most cases, there are students who fail to pass that process. And the university said to them, unfortunately, we cannot carry you along anymore. We will have to stop you here and give you MPhil, a Masters of Philosophy. Some students, out of their own, choice, they choose to stop there and continue later. But in most cases, if you fail to progress, the university will stop you there and give you your MPhil to say thank you so much. Or they could give you another opportunity to start afresh to do the work. These are some of the instances that make people to study for their PhD for more than 5 years because of these many hurdles. I'll give you a real life example because I finished my PhD in 2020. I had done my PhD under 3 years, 2 years and 11 months. I finished my PhD. I'm not asking anyone to do that because it has its own implication. It affected my health, but I was very keen to doing that. But I started my PhD with about 18 other students, but there were about 6 of us. 5 actually pushed through. One of them just recently pushed through, but there were 6 of us who crossed that path to PhD. Many of the other students either couldn't progress by themselves because they feel that it was too much for them to do for health reasons. And some of them were just withdrawn by the university because of the quality of their work was on that question. Does that answer your first question, Aisha?
Yes, absolutely, ma. Thank you, ma.
You're welcome. The second question, you asked about doing a dual program. Yes, is possible. Now, there are programs now, for instance, international business relationship with French, international business management with Chinese, all of those kind of things. And they have things like public health with adult nursing. So you do public health, you do nursing program, but the nursing program covers 2 different parts. It covers public health, which is one part of nursing, and then it covers adult nursing, which is another part of nursing. So these are the instances where universities in the UK are now doing dual programs. But you're very right to say not all the university provide this kind of service to international students, but the possibility is there. But there's one thing that you may have heard wrong. You said they might do it in 2 different institutions. No, except that was recently changed, maybe yesterday or last week. You cannot have CAS from 2 different universities. Every international student have what we call CAS, Confirmation of Acceptance of Studies, and it comes from one university because you can only be sponsored by one university to get your visa. So it is within that university that you can do dual qualification, but you can't say I'm doing public health in University of West London and I'm doing public relation management in Westminster. No. It has to be within that university. And if they offer dual program and they offer it to international students, then you can apply for it. Does that answer your second question?
Yes, ma. Thank you, ma.
You're very welcome. Please, any other question? Unmute yourself and ask. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, ma. Thank
Good
you for the
evening.
wonderful so far. So it has really been insightful. So my question is, I really want to ask about, the work permit policy there in the UK. So let's take, for example, I finished my master's and I'm thinking of applying for a particular job after finishing my master's because there are some scholarships that, we mandate you to go back to your own country after finishing your master's, that it's just very important for you to go back. So what's the policy around there? Can I still apply for work permits and get job and kind of stay in the UK in the long run after finishing my master? So I just want you to shed more light within that space, particularly, man.
No worries. I'll be happy to do that, Richard. So, first and first, you're very correct to say that some scholarship come with its own terms and condition. Now, for instance, with some road scholarship, I gave you one of those types. They would normally tell you in the application itself that this scholarship is for those who wants to come to the UK to study and go back and apply the knowledge. So in your application, you're going to be giving them strong conviction that you're coming back to Nigeria to apply the knowledge you have learned from the UK, which means you are signing into that contract of going back to Nigeria. Failure to do that, then you get into trouble. So because they have stated it as the key requirement for the initial application in the first place. But seldomly is that the case. Most university scholarships do not necessitate that. They ask you for a personal statement. I have reviewed a few personal statements from Nigerians, and I know that many a times they always try to give the UK the impression that I'm going to go back home because they just don't want the UK to see any reason to refuse their application or refuse their visa. But at the back of their mind, they don't want to go back home. Now, that can be a good thing in the sense, and I say that in quotes, in the sense that if the scholarship terms and condition does not necessitate you going back home, it doesn't really matter what you write in your personal statement, provided they have found you eligible, then after your scholarship, you can remain. That leads me to my second point. Automatically, every student gets what they call PSW of 2 years. So this is a post-study work visa. I would like to say this. The law in the UK changed every April. So sometime in the last 4 years, they have changed it twice. At some point, they said, we're no longer giving PSW. Finish your degree, go back home. And then later they said, okay, we'll give PSW. And now they are currently giving PSW. So you have to, again, look forward to April to see the latest. But we don't think that they will change that because they have changed other things like dependent visa and stuff like that. So we don't think that it will change the post-study work visa. So Richard, if you study for your degree here in the UK, automatically you are eligible to get 2 years post-study work visa. Interesting fact about 2 years post-study work visa: you can work in any industry of your choice, you can work in any sector of your choice, but you cannot take some public roles like sportsmanship and so on and so forth. But you can work in industry that you so much desire to work in. Suppose you get a job in an industry you like, say Cisco. So maybe I did cybersecurity, and after my degree, I have got my PSW, and I got a job in Cisco. Now, Cisco can, if they like, give me a work permit. That work permit will automatically take me off my PSW and give me a work permit. The good thing about work permit is after your work permit, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain immediately after your 5 years work permit. So, but if you don't get a job within your 2 years post-study work visa, God forbid, that becomes a very big challenge because after that 2 years, the question is, how else do you want to stay in the UK? You will have to go back home. Richard, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the wonderful answer given.
You're very welcome. Good. Now I was talking about change of laws, and last year from the 5th of January, master students are no longer eligible to bring their dependent to the UK. And this includes your wife, your husband, or whatever the case might be. So it is very difficult because before now, you can come with your spouse or your partners. But after that video that young man made in the BBC, and based on other factors and circumstances, the UKBA now decides, or the UKVI have decided to cancel that. So, but reason why I'm saying this is just in case you think, oh, okay, I'm going to apply for my master's, I'm going to bring someone. It's that's no longer possible. It has to be you, yourself, and I. So getting a job after your master's is the only way for you to recover the investment you have made in your academics. And you must thrive, you must ensure to get a job in an industry and in a company that can pay you enough that you can not just get you can not only get the skill, you can also get some money to say, okay, yes, I have received some return of investment, if that makes any sense. And I'm going to look through my messages now. Maybe we'll take 2 more questions and I will let you go. So my message, I have one from Adeboyega. He says, can we have the recording for this? Yes, we'll provide that to you. We will communicate how to download it on this particular Facebook group. So please make sure you join. And Nosira says, thank you. Thank you so much for joining, darling. Mahmoud said, thanks you, Mahmoud. Olajimake say, can I type my question here? Yes, please do so. Ruth say, okay. Olajimake say, Ma, are you saying there is a low chance for second class lower graduate to be considered for a scholarship? No, I'm not saying that, Olajimake. Again, I would like to reiterate. I said that the UK does not discriminate. And I'm saying this from a positive perspective, from a positive light, because the UK do not just think about your application as an individual applicant. They also review your application as an individual applicant from a failed system. And I say this with all due respect to Nigerian educational system. The UK is run and governed by people who are constantly on the internet, following every policies around the world. There are some people whose job is on a daily basis to make sure that they're on top of the policies, the latest activities across the entire world. So they know to an extent that the Nigerian educational system is failing. And I say this with all due respect. So even if you have a 3rd class, they will not discriminate you, or 2nd class lower. They will not discriminate you because they consider the extenuating circumstances behind that. And they know that one of the circumstances is because the system is failing. So whatever degree you have, you can apply. What you have to do is that when you are applying, you have to read the terms and condition of that application. Some of them will say minimum of 2.2. I have seen a lot of that. Some of them will say, doesn't matter the degree, apply. Some of them will say minimum of 1st class. So the chances might be low, but it's absolutely possible to get a scholarship with whatever degree you have. Meanwhile, it is important as part of your personal development plan to reinforce yourself and your possibility of success. If you have, or if the student in Nigeria come up with a very low degree, the next thing for them is to upscale their skill, to engage and also consult or get, degrees from self-development courses, and so that they can build up their portfolio to say, I have a 2.2 in this because I wasn't really interested in agriculture. My mommy made me to study agriculture. My mommy made me to study IT. And because of the lack of personal interest, I found myself to struggle in this area. And with little or no help, unfortunately, I came out with a 2.2. Nevertheless, as soon as I left the university and completed my NYSC, I engaged with independent self-development courses in the area that I so much desire. And here are my certificates to prove that I am very much eligible for this scholarship. It's always about how you justify your application, you see, gentlemen and ladies. It's about the tone of words, the English you have used, the syntaxes, the rationale behind it, how you sell yourself to say, this is the circumstances that led to me getting this poor degree, but I didn't just stop there. After this, this and this and this is what I have done, and this is what I have achieved. So, in summary, please don't disregard your degree. Just read the terms and condition of the scholarship. If it doesn't state anything there that suggests you should stop, then never stop. Yes, Olajimoke, please type your question. We're going to take 3 more questions and then we're going to release everyone, okay? Joy, please go ahead. Okay.
Okay, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
We're talking about TSA, that's university qualification. What about those that are finished that polytechnic?
Oh, Joy, your voice is really faint. Can you try again with a bit of a loud voice?
Okay, can you hear me now, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, you'll be talking about DSC qualification. So I'd like to know what of those that finish for polytechnic with that is higher national diploma results. Can they also apply for it?
Yes, they can. It's a very good question, and forgive me, I did not intentionally not talk about politics. So right, if you just mute yourself, Joy, so we don't have a. Thank you, my love. If you have a HM, Joy, can you mute? Okay, I'm gonna mute you. Yeah. If you have an HND or an OND, I think that's what it's called. Yes, you can apply to scholarships. Again, the same logic apply because many universities in the UK, or let me put it this way, because of the structure of HND and OND, some universities in the UK might not really, in the first instance, recognize that as a degree. But what they tend to do is through their terms and condition, they will tell you who is eligible to apply. So there are universities, many universities actually, that accept HND and OND, but not all universities because of the, for the lack of better word, the again, I'm trying to use my word very wisely because of the pres- uh, because of the campaign around HND and OND is not as versatile as BSc. Many universities are naive about that. And if they are naive, they don't tend to offer opportunities to those students. But similarly, many other universities in the UK definitely offer opportunities to HND and OND holders. You just have to, it's going to be a stretch. It's going to be much work, but it is possible. You just have to read the terms and condition. If it doesn't state it there that you should not apply, then you should apply. And when you apply, don't feel shy to clearly and honestly tell them you have an HND and OND because they might not know until you tell them. And based on the fact that you tell them, would allow them to now include it in the future application for future applicants. So, Joy, does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, right. So, don't forget, you can apply regardless of the degree. If it's not a BSc, a BA, or whatever, it might be a stretch, but it is not impossible. The only thing you have to do is to make sure you read the terms and condition. And like I said earlier, if they don't tell you don't apply, then you should apply. And when you apply, state it clearly and transparently what you have. It's about how you sell yourself, how you integrate yourself in your statement, how you convince them, the wordings you use. Those are the evidences that they must see and disregard anything else and give you the opportunity that you want. Jim Mukesh says, I applied for a scholarship when I was in 300 level after following the due process for like 2 months. I was later told that I wouldn't be able to apply for it due to the fact that I was still an undergraduate. Someone was following me up back then, so immediately I was done with my school. I told her I graduated with a 2.2. She asked for my course, and I told her microbiology. She later told me that I can't apply any scholarship as a graduate of microbiology with 2.2 closer. Ever since then, I feel discouraged. Okay, good. Thank you so much for that question, Olajumoke. Now, my love, this university is most, if it's a UK university, all right, this university is most probably one university out of 122 university, my love. So if you have done research method, you would know that the sample is not proportion of the population at all. You should not by any chance in this world feel discouraged because it is not representative of the population. If it was 50 universities, if it was 80 universities, I can become scared to say, oh girl, yes, that's a problem. 80 universities saying that. But that is not the case. It's just one university out of 122. No, girl, that should not make you feel discouraged. It is not proportionate at all. Number two, remember I said we have 122 universities in the UK. I'm going to be sharing them with you now so that you can see for yourself. And there are few things you must know. Top on the list is this. These universities, they have their own terms and conditions. The universities are not run by the government as in all all the entities. No. Government give or preside over certain policies. The university has and they reserve the right to add much more to their policy. So if you are applying, always consider what that particular university says and proceed. If they don't accept your certificate or your degree, what do, my love? You go to the next university. You go to the next university. You keep doing that until you get the yes that you want. That is one of the reasons why many Nigerian students are not able to go to the university in the UK. And that is also one of the reasons why many Nigerian students, they keep paying a lot of money to agents because, I'm so sorry to say this very bluntly, because most Nigerian students, even university students in particular, they tend to be very passive. And I use the word passive respectfully. Otherwise, I would have said lazy because they don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to do the research themselves. So they feel, oh, 122 universities, where will I start from? How long is it going to take me to do this? So they would rather go to someone, pay a lot of money to do that job for them. But if you take the universities one by one, in the span of 2 weeks to 1 month, you have covered all the universities. And I am telling you, not just as a realist, not just as someone who is very religious, I'm telling you that there is one or two or three or four or 10 universities that will give you exactly what you want without any limitations. So, in other words, don't feel discouraged. Go and apply for more. You just have to exercise patience and dedicate your time to go through all the universities. Fortunately for you, there are 122, and I'm so certain that more than 50% of this would say to you, yes. I'm going to show you one more thing before, if you don't have any question, I will leave you, okay? Yakub and his team might have more webinars and we might go through them. And we don't have to wait for a webinar, my darlings. Join the Facebook group, ask me your questions there, and I can provide you these answers. I can even do videos and post them there for you. Don't worry, I'm not I'm not I was gonna say I'm not photogenic or videogenic, but I will try my best. What I'm sharing with you right now is I'm sure you can see. Can anyone see my screen? The list of universities. Anyone? Please talk to me.
Yes, ma'am, we can see your screen.
Hello. Okay, so as you can see, this is like I said to you, there are 122 universities. Well, there you go. One university has dropped. There are 121 universities in the UK. 121. How can you feel discouraged because one university say no to you out of 121? And remember, I said to you that there are many metrics, many ways to really examine these universities. At the top of this particular screen here, the top row, you will see different criterion and metrics for this university's rating. So you cannot say, because this university here is number 42, I would like to go there. No, you have to look in depth into your course and to know how they are faring in your course. And this link, I can post it, I'll post it there in the chat box now, is the official link. And if you click on it, it takes you directly to the university itself. And that way you can help yourself to conduct your research. And it has other links as well for you. I hope you find that very, very helpful, everyone. Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. I have now posted the link in the inline message for any of you to, carry on with that. Do we have one last question before we leave? Just one last question. One last question. Any question? One last person. Okay. Okay. No worries at all. In the absence of any questions for now, I would like to say once more on behalf of the TSAA team and myself, thank you so much for joining. Okay. Yes, Olajumoke, please type your question while I'm closing the webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I do hope that all of you have registered. So we will send the link for after webinar feedback. That's an opportunity for you to tell us what other topics you would like us to look into, what other questions you have. And don't forget to join the Facebook page as you have indicated. We'll also send that to you by email, and you can ask whatever questions you have from that particular channel, and further updates would follow. Okay, I don't want to bombard you with a lot of information because information overload can actually cause problem. So let's keep it at a stop for now, and we'll carry on in the next session or online on Facebook. Okay. So thank you so much for joining, and have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. I'm going to stop the recording now, but I'll provide the recording to everyone. Thank you.